Hoovers, Professor Belly Bell. This is not a glorification or a glamorization. This is an education. You can go anywhere in the world and get a couple of lives, but you come right here to get the truth. Be sure to click the notification bell, like, subscribe, and share. Drop a comment down below. So when the dope content hit, it'll feel like it's the first and the 15th. Lock the door. Tracy, in regards to Too Pretty Kenny, what was Kenny like growing up from your perspective?
Well, from my perspective, Kenny is obviously older than me, but I idolized Kenny and my whole family did. But when I got older enough to know what was going on, I realized that Kenny was just a good guy. And I think that he was somewhere where he was a product of his environment, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And he was just caught up in what was going on in that era. But as I got older and realized he's really like just a really great guy. And I'm not saying that he's my mother's nephew. I'm not saying that to be, like to take up for Kenny. He's my family's favorite. But I'm saying that to say that I realized that he was just in a situation at that time frame in that era where he had to fend for himself. He had to do what he had to do because he had told me so many stories where he had got jumped on and beat up. I'm sorry, Ken, but that's what he told me.
But let me ask you this. Let me ask you a different
okay.
question. In regards to him defending who he was, defending his honor as a Crip, did you know any of that part of his life and how he performed in that function? Because a lot of people try to assassinate him character-wise, but they really don't know him. But just you're his first cousin. You can assess this moment in a way that nobody else, because you was there.
Okay. What I can say about that, because my mother and Kenny is 4 years apart, and my auntie Jackie had a garage, and Ken, from what I know, had the corner pocket cribs. It was formed in my auntie's garage, and they had like exotic lights even when I came about, and everything that Kenny have said, just to keep it real, it's facts. Kenny doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. He doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. He is the triple OG. I'm just going to keep it real. He is who he is. He's a factor. And you guys, well, when I say you guys, it's proven. But like I was telling Kenny earlier, you're going to have your haters, you're going to have your supporters. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You put your stuff out there, you lay it out, and that's it. Whoever's going to believe it, they're going to believe it. Whoever's not going to believe it, hey. But this guy over here, put the camera on. This is my family, and I love him to death, and he don't got nothing to lie to nobody. And my whole family and the corner pockets, everybody know about this man here. But what I want to say is he is the sweetest guy, the most funniest guy in the whole wide world. And me and him, we have our differences, but this guy here, I'm talking about as time has passed, I'm not even talking about the game part and all that stuff, but all of that, that's irrelevant. Kenny is the shit. That's all I'm going to say.
Give me a story that was most impactful to where you saw Kenny actually exercise some stuff, break out that whoop ass, and just, introduce these guys into some BS that they had absolutely didn't even see coming. Tell us a story about that.
Okay, I can tell you one incident, and I will never forget this particular incident. Kenny had came over to, at that time I was living with my mother, and he had came over. My mother was gonna cook, and Kenny loved my mother's food, and then so we were gonna go to the store, I'm not gonna lie, they were gonna get alcohol, you know, and beer and stuff like that. And so we were going to go get the, you know, the alcohol. And so Kenny and myself, we were leaving to go get the alcohol. Kenny was in front of me, and I don't know the name of the Hoovers, the Hoover Crips, and they were all like, they were already out there, and one of the guys had pat me on my butt, and I didn't say nothing.
You said that kind of low.
He had pat me on my butt.
Okay.
And so I didn't say anything, and I waited till we got in the car. When we got in the car, I waited till we proceeded to kind of go a little bit further, and I said, Ken, that guy hit me on my butt, because that was like, you know, that wasn't a good thing. And Ken was like, who? Which one? And I said, and so Kenny made a U-turn. He made a U-turn. And so he got out of the car, and it was like 4, 5, 6 guys standing, you know, right there. And Kenny confronted all of them, and I was like, and that's why I didn't really want to say anything, because he was outnumbered. He could be bad as whatever, but you can't whip all these guys. So I really didn't want to say anything. And I'm the type of person, I'm not going to put my man or my family on the spot. And I had sense enough to know that back then. But I did say something, and I said it after we left. And Kenny made it. Too Pretty Kenny made a U-turn. And I don't know. I don't know if he told the story. Kenny confronted all those guys, and nobody said nothing. They all balled down. And let me tell you what happened, long story short, and I'm going to close it by saying this. My mother, when we got back from the store, my mother knew what had happened because I had told her. And then I think it was the next day that they came back knocking at...
That same day.
That same day. Later on, they knocked at my mother's door looking for Ken. And my mother said, Ken, I got to live here. She said, you need to go.
Yeah, Marino Valley out there.
No, that's
I say Marino Valley.
yeah. And my mother said, you need to go, because I got to live here. But my mother's main concern was, I got to get my nephew up out of here, because they finna, you know, it's going down. It's going to go down. But you know what? Long story short, Kenneth always did his thing way before my time. But, you know, he's a good guy. You know, he done did his thing. But all his stories, 100. And the family know, and especially the males in the family, everybody knows. He's a factor in everything that he talk about on the internet with all you gentlemen. It's the truth. And that's all I have to say.
Lock the door.
Peace.
Proof of grind all the time, baby.
Yeah, Cali Finest, baby. Proof of grind all the time. Music money, got a dollar sign. Hub City. I'm a street nigga, streets fuck with me. I'ma keep pushing products till the feds get me. It's guap off top, diamond Cartier. That nigga wall won't give a broke bitch the time of day. They see me climbing, they see me shining. That's hard work, proof of grinding. New money got me tipping in that 550. Ali, bad man, and I'm so pretty. I got that tech with me, that's my hater sprayer. Go big, grind now, nigga, play later. What can I say?